What's up, guys? We're back with another video. I'm excited. This is the fight against poverty. Let's go. The stress from within while in poverty. And as you can see, I got this nice artwork. I edited it, I enhanced it or whatever. And it says Insai, and that means the see within, or I like the other meaning, to see from within. It mean it basically means intuition. And I watched the documentary about it. It was a beautiful documentary. I loved it. I think it was on Netflix. It was amazing. I loved it. And it inspired me to put this picture because I have the intuition to speak about this poverty and what it means to me, what it should mean to everybody. And I really just dedicate my life to this now, and I really hope you guys like the videos. Hopefully these videos aren't too long. It's a lot of research I do, so I got to put as much of it in here as I can. So let's just embrace the information, and we're gonna get into a little bit of science of what stress does to the body, and yeah, what it can cause as far as diseases and things of that nature. Let's get into it. So to start off, I got this from an article online, and I'm gonna post all my resources down below in the description. I'm gonna start by reading. Money problems, a heavy workload, caregiving, such increasingly common pressures have helped make stress a part of modern American life. According to APA's Stress in America survey, 42% of adults in the United States say their stress level has increased over the past 5 years. Even teens reported stress revealing adult levels. Recent research suggests chronic stress damage starts before we're even conceived and cuts into our very cells. A number of studies have linked stress with shortened telomeres, and chromosome components that's between associated with cellular aging and risk of heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. So, stress can lead to the shortening of telomeres, which are the end caps of our DNA, our chromosomes in our DNA, and it can be associated with risk of heart disease, aging, diabetes, as well as cancer. So stress, like money problems, heavy workload, caregiving, all this within our society can cause these things. And stress, everybody goes through stress every once in a while. Everybody does. And it can lead to damage. It can damage your body, your well-being, you as a human. It can damage you. Even if you have money, it could be stressful to you losing that money. So that's what I want to focus on, and we're gonna read more about the science of telomeres and the effects it has. Like a person that first receives the news that they have cancer, it could be very stressful. We're gonna go into that a little bit, but we really want to focus on stress from within while you're in poverty. And as you can see, money problems, a heavy workload, caregiving, such increasingly common pressures have helped make stress a part of modern American life. It's a part of it. And that could lead to, the stress could lead to heart risk, diabetes, and even cancer. So we're going to go on to the next slide. So this slide will be focusing on telomeres and stress, how stress affects the telomeres. So telomeres and stress, promising avenues for research in psychoneurology. As you can see, they're PhD, MD, BA Arts, Honor Psych, all these people right here. And the abstract is a cancer diagnosis and subsequent treatment is a stressful experience with the potential for long-term health consequences for patients and their caregivers. It is now well established that psychological stress is associated with detrimental effects on physical health. Recent studies have investigated the link between telomeres, the protective cap at the ends of chromosomes, and stress, suggesting that stress potentially impacts on cellular aging through telomere shortening, with subsequent consequences for health. This review has familiarized the reader with the pertinent literature exploring the relationship between telomeres and psychological and behavioral factors, and propose future directions for telomere research in psycho-oncology. There it is. So this slide is basically telling us how the stress of a person, when someone receives the news that they have cancer, their response is very stressful. It could be a very stressful time. So it is more of the stress rather than the cancer. The stress affects you more. And on this next slide, we're gonna see how it can affect you, but it's really more of the stressful experience, not the cancer itself. Because they say a cancer, they say a cancer diagnosis and subsequent treatment is a stressful experience with potential for long-term health consequences for both patients and their caregivers. So for patients and the caregivers, because the caregivers care about them, but it's more of the stressful experiences that has the effect of telomere shortening. And we're going to find out what telomeres are. They are the protective end caps of chromosome, and stress, suggesting that stress potentially impacts on cellular aging through telomere shortening. And yeah, on the next slide, we're going to read more about this. This is more on this website. I'm going to leave all my sources in the description down below, so just check for them. Psychosocial stress and cancer. It is well documented that a cancer diagnosis is very stressful, eliciting a range of emotions including anger, sadness, shock, anxiety, helplessness, and guilt. People newly diagnosed with cancer are confronted with a myriad of decisions associated with their disease and treatment options. Furthermore, the treatment itself can be distressing, expensive, disruptive, contributing to stress. So I really want to focus on the stress. Um, it says the treatment itself can be distressing, and just like I'm saying, the diagnosis is very stressful. It's very stressful. That's the part I want to hit on the most. It's just the diagnosis. It's not cancer itself. It's just the very stressful event of hearing that you got cancer. So we're gonna continue reading. The stress associated with cancer can persist long term with significant psychosocial repercussions. Treatments can lead to permanent health impairment, disability, sexual impairment, ongoing fatigue, and pain. For some, depression and anxiety persist for years after initial diagnosis, along with social problems, inability to work, change in roles. Furthermore, pre-existing vulnerabilities such as low income, pre-existing vulnerabilities such as low income, younger age at diagnosis, and minimal social support can further contribute to stresses associated with cancer diagnosis. This highlights that cancer-related psychosocial stressors are complex and are difficult to attribute to just one factor. So, this is the part I really want you guys to focus on. The pre existing vulnerabilities, such as low income. low income, being low in income, those are pre-existing before you got the diagnosis of cancer, meaning that's already a stressor. It's already oxidative stress, meaning meaning that it's you're vulnerable to damaging your telomeres. So, and it shortens over time and it speeds up the aging process. If you read more about telomere and the aging process, the shortening of telomeres, it increases uh, the chances for you to age faster, and you're more likely to catch diseases and things like that. So with all that, the stress from being in low income and hearing that you may have cancer or a new disease and it stresses you out, the just the diagnosis is very stressful or whatever. Being in low income or find out you got cancer, whatever, and you're in low income, or whether it's food stamps, you got a long line with food stamps at the public aid office, and that's a very stressful situation. These things can 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 affect your DNA, the chromosomes in your DNA, the end caps, and it can do long term damage to your body and to your well-being. So that's really what I want to focus on. I hope you guys got that message. I know it's talking about cancer a lot, but I really want you to focus on diagnosis is very stressful. Just the diagnosis, not you having, it's not cancer that's doing this to you. It's you reacting this much. The reaction can be damaging. It can eliciting a range of emotions, including anger, sadness, shock, anxiety, helplessness, and guilt. I mean, if you're in extreme poverty, you have all these things. So it's just not cancer. That's what I'm trying to get you guys to understand. So we're gonna do more diving in. Hope you guys can tune in. So this slide is going to be on an opinion of a scientist and the trends in biochemical sciences, volume 27, issue 7, July 1st, 2002, pages 339 through 334. Oxidative stress shortens telomeres. Telomeres Telomeres in most human cells shorten with each round of DNA replication because they lack the enzyme telomerase. This, however, is the only determinant of rate of loss of telomeric DNA. Oxidative damage is repaired less in telomeric DNA than elsewhere in the chromosome. And oxidative stress accelerates telomere loss, whereas antioxidants decelerate it. I suggest here that oxidative stress is an important modulator of telomere loss and the telomere-driven replication synthesis is primarily a stress response. This might have evolved to block the growth of cells that have been exposed to high mutation. So what he's saying in here is that basically oxidative stress accelerates telomere loss, and telomeres are the end caps of your chromosomes, but whereas antioxidants decelerate it. We're gonna learn more about that, but I really want to focus on stress. Stress accelerates, and on the next slide, we're gonna figure out what are the causes. How can you get oxidative stress, which accelerates telomere loss? So we're gonna find out more about that, and also telomere loss accelerates the aging process, and it could lead to more diseases. So we're going to find out more about that later in the presentation. So this slide will be focusing on oxidative stress. When does it occur? And I got this straight off Google, as you probably can notice. While free radicals and antioxidants are are part of your body. Natural and healthy functioning. Oxidative stress occurs when free radicals and antioxidants are out of balance. Oxidative stress can cause damage to many of your tissues, which can lead to a number of diseases over time. And down here, I clicked on what are the main causes of oxidative stress. Factors that may increase a person's risk of long-term oxidative stress include obesity, diet and diets high in fat, sugar, and processed foods. We eat a lot of processed foods. Everybody. Exposure to radiation, smoking cigarettes or other tobacco products, which a lot of people do. Alcohol consumption, a lot of people do, a good percentage of people. Certain medications, pollution. We all know about pollution. We all have witnessed us polluting the earth. Exposure to pesticides or industrial chemicals. And with that, I did research on obesity from the CDC.gov. Women exist, oxidative stress exists more when women income decreases. Men, obesity is all as the same as all levels of income get higher. So obesity is around, and um, it can trigger oxidative stress. It and I got that from CDC.gov, and as you can see, it's the number one of the causes to long-term oxidative stress, which can shorten the telomeres, as we just learned in the previous slides. So, um, I don't know. I'm not going to say the percentage of obese people, but it's a good majority of our population in America where we have oxidative stress. It's oxidative stress. And people smoke cigarettes when they're stressed, but they're not realizing it's causing oxidative stress on the body. Um, 3 in 4 smokers are from low-income communities. I got this from truthinitiative.org. And poor men, two, two, 2.5 times likely, though 2 out of 5 times likely than rich man to smoke. And I got that from CBI, NLM, NIH.gov. So these things in low income communities are kind of common. Like I said, in women, obesity occurs when the women's income decreases. So those are two that I researched. Smoking, because I know people do a lot of smoking. Not many. A lot of people drink alcohol, but not as many as they smoke cigarettes or smoke some form of tobacco products. And pollution, we all have witnessed it. We all has smelled the diesel coming from a semi truck, and that can trigger long-term oxidative stress, which can shorten the telomere process, shorten the end caps of your chromosomes, which are telomeres, and can can enhance the aging process. So these are some of the things that can occur when you're in poverty. A lot of these things and exposure to pesticides and industrial chemicals, that's likely in a impoverished community, especially diets high in fat, high fructose corn syrup, sugar, and processed foods. That's what they live off of. And we're going to watch a couple videos that talk about food stamps. And we're just going to listen to what some of the people say that they had to do, because processed foods last longer than whole foods. So we're gonna we're gonna listen to those videos, and they will be on the next slide. So before we get into the videos, I have another source, which is Time Magazine, and this edition is on memory. And I got this from a section called "How Memories Slip Our Minds" on page 13, and this is a recent Time Magazine, not too long ago. And Time magazine has been around since 1923, so it's a credible source. I'm going to start reading. There's a lot of evidence to suggest chronic stress can lead to memory impairment, said Jason Radley, an associate professor of brain sciences at the University of Iowa. Radley's research showed high or prolonged spikes in stress hormone cortisol may prone the synapses in your brain, prefrontal cortex, and hippocampus, which are essential for brain functions like memory. Stress levels naturally elevate through the process of aging, Riley said, and for those who suffer from chronic stress, it seems the cumulative exposure to cortisol over a person's lifespan may produce a withering of the brain and erosion of cognitive functioning, day-to-day functioning. Um, yeah, as I said before, stress is a big thing. It could even affect your man. We already know it affects our DNA within our cells. So, and which is why the aging process starts faster when you're under a lot of chronic stress, by the way. And it can also have effect on your memories. You can forget things, and that's very stressful itself, forgetting things. So it adds more stress, oxidative stress. So is this something I wanted to add in there? Let's get into these videos.
But we have 1,000%. The rate is crazy there. Like almost 3 to 4 hours, 2 to 4 hours minimum to just go like into the office. The Boston's 24-year-old Ashley Murphy, single mother of a boy, 4, and girl, 1, she's been on welfare since 2013. Would do anything to get off. I feel like they kind of looked down on me in a way. Murphy's now in a privately funded career training class, hoping to get a job in nursing and add welfare, which she's on because she quit her last job in retail. And why did you quit? I was working this over 2 years, and I just got $9 an hour. And how many hours did you have in a typical week? It increased to like less than $8. You were all.
So as you can see, that's a stressful situation. She was only getting paid $9 an hour, and her hours decreased. So that could be very stressful. And living in these conditions where you're only making a certain amount of money and your hours decrease, that could be very stressful, and that could lead to, as we learned earlier in the presentation, it could lead to shortening of the telomeres. Just being in that stressful situation. She got 2 kids, by the way. So, and she's been on welfare. She's talking about how long the wait is. That's stressful because you're waiting for assistance. It can be very stressful. And that's the point I'm really trying to hit on in this video.
We're getting 48 hours a week at $9 an hour. Well, you obviously can't live on that. Also, with welfare promotion, but to get welfare, you have to work. As of the 1996 Welfare to Work law, passed over skepticism from liberals by Republican Congress with support from President Bill Clinton. When I ran for president 4 years ago, I said to end welfare as we know it. And so we did. And the story is about how that effort was failed.
At the end of the day, they talk about how the efforts fail, how the welfare system is basically working backwards. There's some things that need to be fixed. We're gonna listen to this next slide. The lady, she's working on only $7 an hour. I think she was working at a McDonald's, and she's gonna talk about how her life is and how emotional it is to live this way. And I think she has a baby's father, which is incarcerated. And we're gonna listen to that video. We're gonna just dive right into these videos. She just talking about and just making it stretch, that making just ends meet. She's only making 750 an hour. I know we didn't hear that, but I'm trying to make this video as short as possible. But she's only making 750 an hour at McDonald's, and she's on food stamps, and she's getting a limited amount. They deducted it and made it 216, and she's just doing whatever she can to make it stretch, to make it last. So those are the things people have to worry about. Uh, the long lines, their food stamps getting a reduction, and all that could be fearful because this is our lives. This is everyday fear, and we've learned that stress can lead to shortening of the telomeres in our DNA, which is the chromosomes within our DNA, the end caps, the telomeres, which shorten with stress. Let's get back to the video. Child care. So that's 140 a week, and she's making 750. And in the next video, we're gonna talk about how people fear of making too much because their benefits will be cut. So it's like you're trapped. That's how you get trapped in welfare. We're gonna talk about that on the next slide. But it's hard, as you can see. She's saying she's want to teach her son how to not struggle the way she struggled, to find a better way. So let's continue watching the video. As you can see the emotion within her as she's talking, she's really not. It's hard to hear her too, and it's just hard to talk about for some people. And we're gonna find that out later. In extreme, what a person goes through with extreme poverty, being homeless, and all that. And this is all the benefits are supposed to prevent you from becoming homeless, becoming low income, and all that, or to maintain that income. And it's just a fear, the stress. It's a stress. That's what I really want to hit on. It's a stressful event in your life that can happen. Well, number one always is to make sure that my rent is paid. So I'm just gonna make sure that my sister said that she's getting 125 as a Torres. One of my sisters is in it, and it's like the week that was there. And like I did that in order to, and then I found myself borrowing and borrowing. So when my next check comes, that's my check that I use like to get like like some clothes and just the things that I use for the thing. So like I found myself looking into it and I was paying everybody back. So as you can hear, her checks 238 and she has to pay 125 her sister split it a piece, and she pays 125, and this could be a lot of things. This is how people survive. And it's very stressful, and they just trying to make ends meet. You heard she said she needed to borrow sometimes, and yeah, it only making $7.50, what she was making at McDonald's is very hard. It's very hard, and to deal with all this, the co-payments, the the food stamps, only having a certain amount of money for food stamps. All this is limited, and it's very stressful to try to manage all this while trying to stretch it out like she was saying in the video. So that could be very stressful, and like I said earlier, it could be damaging to our bodies. Let's go on to the next video. This video is going to be about how people get trapped in the welfare system when they don't want to over exceed the amount they make, and then their benefits get cut or taken away.
Look for people who look like they'd be willing to talk and sit down and ask them about their town or tell me about this neighborhood. I'm new here. I'm visiting, and I'm here writing a book, and it's about welfare. Would you be willing to talk to me? And I was really amazed at how open people were to sharing their stories and telling me about what it was like to have these how their Medicaid card worked, what they did with their tax assistance. The things that struck me was first off is how incredibly complex all of these systems I mean, there are people who go out and recruit people to be on welfare and whatnot, but the systems themselves are very complicated. And then how those kind of ingenious, and I don't even mean that in a negative way, but how kind of smart the people are. Like, they totally know the systems. And if you could talk a little bit maybe.
So he's saying how smart the people have gotten it because they understand the system. They understand that they can't make a certain amount, and they're going to talk about it a little bit more. These two people wrote a book about the welfare system, and they talk about some of the things they have in the book.
In a general way, they know when if they hit a certain threshold, they're going to lose more benefits than they would gain from having a job or something. Like, talk a little bit about the mindset that they use to calculate their total benefits back. Well, they did. I would call them doing the math because they really were. They knew exactly down to the penny how much they would get based on which programs they were in and how much income they had coming in. And it was actually frightening for them sometimes to think about taking that extra hour of work or taking that raise because then they would lose their benefits because they knew if I go over this line by even $1, I could lose my food stamp benefit. I could lose my housing benefit. And when you're at those low level jobs that might come and go, it can be kind of scary to take on the extra income because then you're losing quite a big benefit.
And he's talking about that fear of extra income, making more money because you've been dependent on the system to provide those things for you, and if you make too much a certain time, you could lose that and lose your benefits. So this is how people get trapped in the welfare system. Living in poverty, the stress of it all. It's very stressful trying to figure all this out. And if you get public housing, uh, public aid, unemployment, or food stamps, all these things, all these programs, it's very tricky. It's very tricky. Let's listen more.
So most of the people I met knew exactly how much they could make, and they knew how much they were getting every month, and they relied on it. And it's small sums of money, but it's really important when it's what you're living on. What would you say is how often do people, or is there a set percentage of people on welfare on some type of assistance go to a gray market? So they're working, above board and whatnot, but then because they know that next dollar is going to kill me on my benefits, and then they start getting stuff off the book. Oh yeah, I think off the books work is very, very common. I don't think I met anybody that wasn't doing some kind of off the books work. And people trade and barter a lot. I mean, they trade babysitting for car maintenance, for a place to sit, or they'll sell their food stamps, in order to get some cash to go pay for something. So it's a very, very active underground economy.
They're talking about the underground economy. Some people sell their food stamps, and it's It's definitely possible. It's definitely possible. And that lets you know what extent some people go to just to get actual cash instead of using it for food. Some people have to do that to pay the rent, to pay certain things. They may have got a ticket, which is also stressful. All these things are stressful. And then you got to worry about it being, it's illegal. It's illegal to do this. You could get in trouble and lose your benefits and go to jail. And you may have kids. All this is stressful. It's a stressful situation. We live in a stressful environment. And that's what I really want to hit on. Not just in this video, the entire video, the whole entire presentation. So let's continue listening.
And off the books part, I find rather encouraging because people want to work and they want to earn money. They just don't want to lose their benefits. And I think one of the worst things about the welfare system is it induces this psychology of fear of earning too much. The prospect of having all of your benefits cut off or some a significant part of your benefits cut off makes people earning income as risky. How did that come to be a defining characteristic of the system? Because the whole idea of welfare reform in the 90s was that it was supposed to be work fair, it was going to be time limited, it was going to push people to work, which is what everybody wants. Everybody wants to be dependent. And yet now you're saying that people don't want to work, or they realize that work is risky. That obviously means that something is terribly wrong with the system. Well, the reforms of 1996, which were real and to a considerable extent effective, were in the aid to families with dependent children, which was transformed into a program, as you suggest. It was time limited and required work that offered some training and job placement. But what has happened is that program is now about 2 or 3% of the total welfare package. It's there.
Yeah, so he was just gonna explain that it's there, but it's just not as existent as it used to be. So yeah, people get kind of trapped in the system. So let's go on to the next slide. The next slide is to me very emotional. I was emotional when I first heard it because I've experienced my own trials, and it's very emotional. And like I said, the emotion, the stress of being in these situations, not just with medical. Like if you just got the news you had cancer, it's more stress is everywhere in our lives. So let's watch the next video.
Everything was wrong with Jesus. I've been on this for about a year and a half now. Well, I come from the suburbs, right? Which is wrong. And I mean, I slept in low whacker, I slept on the bridges, I slept in the cardboard boxes and stuff, just survive. And especially in the wintertime is the hardest time. And like when I go fill out application for a job and stuff, they look at me, I'm not looking presentable, and then we'll call you, leave a number, but how can I leave a number when I don't have a phone? So it's just a struggle out here, I just, day to day, people, I come out here panhandle with my cook, right here at the Metro train station, people come on, bring them in sandwiches and stuff like this here. And I start out my morning about 6 o'clock. Sometimes I don't even have enough to go to the flop house. Sometimes the flop house is a cheap place and they number 16 bucks for 24 hours. They over there on Clark and Van Buren. And a lot of times I don't have enough money for that, so I have to end up sleeping in the park or on one of these places downtown or something like this. And then it's
Yeah, this is very stressful. It's very stressful. It's very serious. A lot of people have to deal with this, and they're just trying to make whatever they can. This is extreme poverty right here. And it's very sad. It's very sad. Something should be done. This is what my channel is dedicated to helping these specific people and everybody in poverty. But really, we got to start from the bottom and go up. Let's continue.
I started running off about 5 or 6 in the morning. So by 6 o'clock, I started to stand out and try to survive. And like I said before, some days I don't even have enough to get home, so I just keep on the sleep. But I depend on the people that's coming up the train because most of the time I get I'm like, come out and give me clothes and food and stuff like this, so I provide, give them people and everything, and I ended up at the end of the day just a little home for the night. So whenever I'm not fortunate enough to get the room, I just sleep wherever I can. It's hard to humiliate if you're sick in a cup. I want to go out and people just look at you like you're some kind of little bomb, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I had people that walk past me and say, get a job, bomb. And I said, wait a minute, I'm not a bomb, I'm a man. After the end of the day, when people go home, and everybody get on the message train, and then mine, and then I just feel so bad that I can't be going home. You know, I'm sorry. But it's really emotional because I'm really trying to get myself together off this shit. And I don't care what it's for. I can get a job and do this. You know, I mean, you just lose all your ability when you're taking a cook bag. You know what I'm saying? You know, you can look at a person and tell if they respect or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Even that, for me, walking past people, I just seen someone today, and it's hard to see it. Nobody having a home. They begging. They're panhandling, and and we have this attitude like, oh, they probably faking it or this and that. In some cases, yes, but most people wouldn't want to do that. It's humiliating, as he just said. So we got to open our eyes more. Like I said at the beginning, inside to see from within that this is wrong. This is wrong, and nobody should have to go through this. It's very stressful, very emotional, triggering oxidative stress, and they're in the environment, dealing with pollution daily, in extreme poverty, pesticides, all type of thing, abandoned homes, this and that, and it could be stressful. It could be stressful, bad diets. Um, so it's not just in extreme poverty. It's in all phases of poverty. It can be very stressful to slip like this man. This man has fallen into extreme poverty, and it's very sad. It's very sad. But that's my presentation. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and share the video. Share the video on all platforms. This is a great video. I like it. Hopefully, it's not too long. I apologize. That's the end of my presentation.